All right, well, why don't we kick this thing off? We've got a few folks in the waiting room here.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll start letting folks in.
Yeah, I like you fine, but I like extra folks too.
I know you like me, but it's better when we have other people.
It is.
Yeah.
Joanne, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Happy
Good
Friday.
morning.
Happy pre-Labor Day weekend as well. I appreciate you guys being here, considering we're heading into a long weekend. So awesome. We don't have any special guests today. It's just Shane and myself and all of you guys. Personally, I don't have anything specific on the agenda today. So today is just going to be kind of a general discussion. I think Shane might have a few market related items for us as well that could be good topics of discussion. Quick introductions for those folks who don't know me. My name is Kirk Brewer. I am the branch manager at Finance of America Mortgage in Chandler, Arizona. I've been writing mortgages now. It was 19 years this past June. So I'm past 19, heading towards 20. Still love it. Every day I come across new stuff that makes it fun. So I keep coming back every day. And my handsome partner in crime over there, I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Hey, did you say 20 years in the business? Coming up on 20?
I've got 19 behind me and I'm heading towards 20, yeah.
Okay.
This is my second career. So I look pretty good for my age.
Well, I was just trying to do the math, and I'm no loan officer, but I don't understand how a 25-year-old could have that much in the business already.
Oh, you are way too kind. I'm going to send you something special in the mail for that.
I'm always angling. Always angling. Hey, everybody, and good morning, and happy Friday, and happy pre-holiday 3-day weekend festival. Going to probably be a busy weekend, I'm guessing, for buyers and sellers this weekend. That's my thought, anyways. For those that don't know me, my name is Shane Sauer. I'm sales manager here at Greystone Title Agency. I've been partnering up with Kirk for not 19 years, but it feels like it sometimes. We go back a ways.
It's years.
Yeah. I've only been in the title industry for what, 14 years on this side. I can't even believe it's been that long. That's crazy. But I was in construction prior to that. So I've been in the industry as a whole for an awful long time. And seeing that I'm only 32. Yeah.
You started when you were 4.
But anyways, I know we're going to talk about a few things today. I've got a few things that I want to definitely touch on market-wise. Kirk, I know rates are doing what they're doing, so you may want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, let me take just a second. Nothing super exciting from a new perspective. I mean, how can you not be excited about the fact that rates are this low and they continue to be this low? I'll share my screen real quick with you guys. This is always an adventure for me. Hopefully I'm getting better at it and more efficient. You guys see that?
Absolutely.
Thumbs up. Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. So if you go to our website, theloangeeks.com, that's just like it sounds, loangeeks.com. There's several ways you can access our rates, and we update the rates there every day. So it's a great resource for you guys. I know as real estate agents, number one, I don't like real estate agents to act as loan officers because sometimes that can create problems. That being said, I know you guys are constantly being asked loan officer related questions, and rates are probably the number one. So if you want to stay current on rates, our website's a great source for that because we update at least once a day. We keep the rates updated there. So up here on the very top menu is probably the easiest, but there's several other places where you can access the rates. And when you click on this, it's going to take you to our rate page. Which looks just like this. And like I said, they're updated at least once a day, so they're current. Real quick, just run through it. The 15-year fixed conventional is still hovering right down there in the mid 2s. 2.625, ticked up a little bit. We ticked down and then we ticked back up. So we're just kind of hovering right along the bottom here. The 30-year fixed conventional, and conventional is the Fannie Freddie stuff, less than 510,000, you know, moderate to well-qualified clients. We're 3.125 on that. And both of those are at par, meaning they have no points to get that pricing. Our FHA is running at 3%, and that does come with a half a point. That half a point is on top of the 1 3/4% FHA upfront MIP funding fee. And then the same for the 30-year fixed VA as well, which has a half a point on that at 3%. And that is on top of the VA funding fee. In past weeks, we've kind of talked about why right now the government-backed loans are carrying that premium pricing. It goes back to the CARES Act and the forbearance allowances that were made in the CARES Act, and how that's costing lenders more money to carry those forbearances. And so it's getting built into the pricing there. And then last but not least, the jumbos. We continue to see the jumbos tick back down close to those conventionals. When COVID first hit, jumbos went away for about 48 hours. You couldn't get a jumbo loan. And then a couple of investors started dipping their toe back in the water, but rates were up a full percentage point or more higher than the conventional loans. And now we're starting to see them. They've continued to tick back down closer to the conventionals. So right now we're looking at 3 1/4 with just 1/8 of a percentage point discount to on a 30-year fixed jumbo. So everything's looking good on the rate front. I don't see anything drastic that's going to affect these rates for the foreseeable future. You know, all bets are off if something unexpected happens, but right now I think we're just going to be kind of hovering here for a while. We could see a moderate tick up. I think there's a lot of conditions that could cause us to tick up slightly, but now's a great time to find buyers if we can get them, if we can find inventory to get them homes. Their money goes a lot farther at these rates, so they can buy a heck of a lot more home. And then last but not least, I haven't shared this with you guys for a couple weeks, but I always like to remind you guys that we've got this really awesome program. It's called the Community Heroes Program. And what this program is, we've actually had this program in place. It's my program, it's my baby. I adopted it, and I'm not afraid to pat myself on the back for this one because it's really near and dear to my heart. Shane, it's probably been 3 years now that we've had this program in place. So it's not just a flavor of the week due to COVID and all the stuff going on, where we offer a full $1,000 off of the closing costs for people who fall in the professions that we've designated as community heroes. And this is both for purchases and refinances too. So we're talking teachers, medical professionals, law enforcement, firefighters, as well as active duty and retired military. So it's a great program. If you guys know anybody in those professions, we love helping those people save money. So get them over our way. We'll get them pre-qualified, or if they're looking to do a refinance, for sure send them our way as well, because they're going to save a lot of money. So let me turn that over to Shane and stop sharing here.
Thanks, buddy. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I had this question come up, and we can get into this after I talk about the market or whatever, but because I don't want to forget it. I'll lose, you know, I've got an old brain and sometimes stuff tends to fall out. But so Monday afternoon, I got a call from an agent, and it took me by surprise. I'll be honest. I actually called Kirk about this because I was really kind of mystified by the call. He was looking for mortgage late. You know, the last call I got from mortgage lates, you know what, honestly, 8 years ago, probably. I mean, seriously. It was really one of those things. And he's kind of he's got a whole team, and they want to call people and they want to do this. They would help people out. And we'll talk about this later, but I just wanted to bring this out real quick because I'll forget about it. I know myself all too well. But it's something I was curious about what you as agents thought about this. But I digress. We'll push that for a minute. Let's put a pin in that. We'll get back to that. But I want to show you a little bit what's going on here in the market right now, what we're seeing, what I can share with you and talk about right now. So you see the market updates, you know what they are. I talk about them every single week. This is Chandler because I'm sitting in Chandler instead of Pine Top this week. You know, last week I was up north enjoying the cooler weather. I'll be up there later today though, so looking forward to it already. But the interesting thing about this report this week, the really interesting thing is median list price in Chandler has not changed over the past 2 weeks. That is a unicorn right there. That never happens. And what I did see too is we had a little uptick in inventory again for the second straight week. And I know it's August, and I know this is what happens when kids go back to school. Things start, you know, days on market start to increase a little bit. We get a little more inventory just because things are sitting a little bit longer. So it's something that is normal in this very abnormal market that we're seeing, you know, as far as inventory goes. So I'm encouraged by that, but it's something to keep an eye on anyways. The rest of the cities out there kind of doing about the same thing. There's a little bit of a leveling off, which I think was expected. And this time of year, it always is. August tends to be a reset month, at least in my little world here in the title side. You know, all the big push is over for spring, and then we have a little push towards the end of the year here in October and November usually, and then the holidays kind of do one of two things usually. So it's kind of normal, and I'm encouraged by that, seeing what came on the market and what sold last week, at least in Chandler. New inventory here, what was sold last week. So you can see in the different price tiers, nothing outsold new inventory, which again, a unicorn for me. I'm used to seeing it go the other way. So maybe good stuff, but we'll see how that goes. You know, I kind of tend to keep an eye on it. But I worked up I did a little worksheet, and some of you got this. If you got my newsletters that went out this week, if you got those newsletters, if you got yours, you saw this. I included it on my letter here. Can you see this, Kirk?
Yep.
This sheet right here, this little market sheet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are all the cities in the valley, the major cities here in the valley. And I kind of worked this up, and I sent it out to folks that got our newsletters this week. So they got this. So you can see every city and what's going on as far as what's on the market, average days on market, and median list prices. So you can kind of see where things are going. Scottsdale and Paradise Valley, of course, are high and they've stayed high. Paradise Valley almost hitting 3 million as far as median list price, which has gone up considerably with this. But even the West Valley, I mean, those cities have gone up as well. Goodyear, Peoria, and Glendale have all gone up. But I really was curious about homes that were outside the valley. So I kind of threw that together too, so you could look at that and kind of see what's going on up north and you know, second homes and all that kind of stuff outside the valley here. So it's interesting to see. I mean, I've got a place up in Pine Top, and you know, median list price is almost 500,000 in Pine Top. That's a lot, and really no inventory up there because, you know, everyone's buying up there. You know, all those you know, the White Mountains and all the way through there. Prescott, I probably should put Prescott on here too, but just interesting stuff to look at as far as, you know, what's going on here. You know, it's not just in the valley, but outlying areas too, and then those destinations where folks will be driving to today. You know, go up for the weekend or whatever. And there's a lot of action going on up there. I was telling somebody the other day that around my place in Pine Top, there's nothing for sale. There was listings, there was FSBOs, now there's nothing. It's all gone. It's interesting to see what's happening up there. As you know, with COVID, I mean, people have been forced to think outside the box, and they're not traveling like they were. And you know, now you can go 2-3 hours away and get cooler weather and get out of the heat and enjoy that. But interesting stuff to see. If anybody wants this that didn't get it already, I'd be more than happy to forward it on. I have it in a PDF, and I can just send it over to you if you want to take a closer look at it. But it's pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, we could pull any areas. You know, if you're curious about things, let me know. This will be a big weekend, I think, for, buyers. I think, everyone's taking listings. And if you know Greystone, we have a Smart Start program. You know that you can use this for sellers and buyers. It is a listing program. It will save both sides 50% on the escrow fee and allow us to do some marketing. So keep me posted as you get these things, because I'm here to help. And that's kind of my whole spiel here today. But honestly, there's a lot going on, so it's going to be interesting as the year plays out.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. That's interesting stuff, Shane. It is really interesting looking at the data on that and seeing the different areas. I didn't know that the median list price up in the White Mountains had gotten that high.
It's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about this the other day. I mean, COVID's going to change a lot of things, I think, going forward. Not that it's going to completely remake the landscape, but I think we've talked about people working from home more and telecommuting and things like that. So you may see a lot of people moving up more in home to have more office space, because their house, they're working in their kitchen or something, and now their kids are home and they're telecommuting to school, and they're like, no, I need an actual office, or maybe they need his and hers offices. And so I think there's gonna be some business to be done there, where people are gonna rethink, I don't need to go into the office every day. I'm going to be working from home 3-4 days a week.
Yeah. I talked to earlier this week. I talked to Dan Smith, who's a commercial real estate agent over at Arizona Elite Properties. Elite Commercial, I think, is his branch or whatever. And we talked about that because early in this COVID thing, March, I think I had conversations with him, and he had already, maybe it was early April, he had already had business owners, because he does a lot of more smaller commercial, not CBLS gigantic commercial, which they're reporting huge losses already because the bigger guys are losing. So he talked about that he was already had fielded a bunch of phone calls from business owners that he's a property manager for, and they wanted to renegotiate. They wanted to see what they could do, and they worked with them. I guess he worked with them, and they lessen their rents and tack stuff on the back end and did whatever, to keep them solvent and keep them in business. But he actually said last month was a record month for him with new rentals. Bunch of new businesses coming in, bunch of stuff come. But he did say, like I just said, the big guys are the ones that are going to be taking the hits, because they're not going to need 100,000 square feet anymore at all. They've trained people to work from home. I know we've touched on that before, but it's reality. It really is. So, hey, let's say we got some questions.
Yeah. I'd love to open it up and see what everybody else is seeing out there in the market. Anybody got any questions?
We got some in chat, it looks like. We got some stuff. Yeah. Is it Jim or Becky or both? Yeah, I've heard hearing about people moving out of the big cities especially to here, because it's so spread out. I hear that all the time.
I'm hearing about it. I haven't had any firsthand clients yet that I'm working with that are doing that, but I'm reading a lot about it and I'm hearing a lot about it, and I'm not shocked. I think that's going to be a trend for sure.
Yeah.
As far as people moving out of dense areas and moving more into the suburbs. I was just reading an article yesterday about Los Angeles and how a lot of people are moving out of the city into the suburbs there, or completely moving completely out of California and getting out of the dense LA grind. And I definitely can't blame them there. Let's see, Raj, getting more people out of state coming to Phoenix. Yeah, I think that's a market that we should all be focusing on, is people who maybe are in denser areas that want to come to someplace less dense, like Phoenix. You know, it's Phoenix has kind of got the best of both worlds, from my opinion, which is we're a pretty big city. I mean, we're not just some little you know, one horse town. So you got all the amenities of a pretty big city, but we're very well spread out. So our density per people or per thousand people is relatively low compared to the New York, Chicago's, Los Angeles, San Francisco's. And that's a really nice segue to mention coming on September 16th. You guys may have already seen Shane blasted. I haven't blasted it yet, but we are going to have a class with Emma, who is here with us quite often, Emma Totten from Remodel Social. She's going to be putting on a class for Facebook on how you can target specifically California buyers that would be moving to Arizona. So that, I think, is going to be a great class. We've always seen expats from California moving here. Heck, I'm one. I'm a California native. I moved here in '94. You know, I love it out here. And I think we're always going to see that. But I think right now might be a better time than most to capitalize on that transition from them going there to coming here. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That's going to be a great class with Emma. Yeah. And that's on September 16th.
Yeah, we've talked about in you know, a couple weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, we talked about California buyers coming over here. But you know, the interesting thing, I mean, I know I saw it in chat again about people moving from New York and California, which is true. But you know, California is being bought up as well.
Yeah.
Their market is just like ours, where they've got, at least I know in the Bay Area and around that way, they're suffering from the same properties, the same inventory shortages as we are. So makes you wonder who's buying there. And I've talked to a lot of people about foreign investors coming in and buying up properties and doing whatever there, which is interesting that they are, you know, so many people, we talk about them moving to here, but they're also, there's no inventory to buy in California. So it's crazy, you know, but I hear that in so many different states in the nation right now are suffering from inventory shortages. And I think that probably has to do some with the interest rate, because we've got millennials in the market that probably never planned on buying ever. And all of a sudden we're giving money away. So, I mean, that's going to bring a lot of people in the market that probably would never have been there before, you know?
Yeah, that's part of it is affordability is much better now than it has been. I think the other part, at least part of it, I think there's a ton of factors, but one of them is COVID. How many people want to sell their house during COVID, right? There's that part of it. They don't want people in their homes. They maybe don't want to go look at homes. So they maybe want to let this blow over. So that's contributing to a lack of inventory, maybe.
Oh,
yeah. There's a lot of factors involved.
Yeah, Leanne,
I'm not sure where we're gonna see the break in the action either, as far as get back to a balanced buyer-sellers market.
Leanne,
at least in our market.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks again, Shane, for this morning. I do have a question. Not sure if related at all with the eviction moratorium in Arizona, and I think it's coming up. It's ending soon. I guess it's more for you. Is what are you seeing with clients with the accident loans? What is it doing to them at point, any at all?
You know, anybody can pipe in here besides me. I think I know we've got a couple folks here maybe that own some investment properties, so they're landlords. On the mortgage side of things, I have not heard firsthand anyway of anybody that is coming to us as the lender, maybe where we're holding the investment mortgage and their tenant is not paying because of the moratoriums and all of that good stuff as far as evictions. But I think that's something anybody needs to be aware of that does have investment properties and they're leasing them out. I know it was for me. I actually bought an investment property heading into summer, or actually no, it was in the spring, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. Well, when COVID hit, I decided I would just liquidate it instead of taking the risk of being a landlord on that, because the market conditions were so good. I could get rid of it real quick. But has anybody else got some feedback on that? I'd love to hear it.
Yes, Kirk, let me just try to answer that briefly. I do own some investment properties and I keep an eye on this topic. And I heard some very good answers from attorneys like Patrick McQueen and a couple of other. I've been also keeping an eye on governor's moratorium. So Arizona governor's moratorium was until end of July, and Governor Ducey extended it until end of October. So we still have a couple more months to go. However, what he has done this time slightly different is it's not going to be just a rubber stamp stop on the eviction. The tenant still has the responsibility to prove that he or she has been affected by COVID financially or health-wise or however. And so the onus is upon the tenant to prove that. And only after proper proof and only after trying to show that he or she has applied for rental assistance and follow through all the procedures, then only they can probably qualify for this moratorium. Also, it's up to judge can still, I mean, you know, if the tenant is you know, negligent or damaging the property, he or she can still be evicted. So it's not like complete stop on the eviction. And still tenants, at the end of the day, tenant still owes the rent. It's going to keep accruing. So once the moratorium is lifted, tenant owes all the money. So we are not seeing as many tenants, you know, trying to abuse. If the landlord is keeping the communication open with the tenant, hey, look, you know, let's try to work this out. Instead of $1,000, you pay me, how about whatever you can pay me, and the rest we can add to your account, you know, some sort of friendly conversations, arrangements, then both have a win-win situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a heck of a lot easier if you can work it out with the tenant. It's expensive real quick if you have to take it into the court system. That's good to know that they still owe that. It's not like their rent goes away. So it's very similar to a forbearance. Yeah. Just a forbearance type of deal on rent. You still have to collect it though, right, Rod?
Absolutely, yes. So forbearance, what happens with forbearance is the owners have 1 year. So they have 1 year that they are, you know, forgiven to not pay their mortgage, but then it accrues into their loan, and at the end of the loan, they still have to pay that. What that does is it lowers the foreclosure rate. However, the rent is payable upon, you know, once this moratorium is over. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's thank you, Raj, for sharing that. It's really at the end of the day is, you know, accumulated for a few months of rent, you know, good trying to get that amount. But,
yeah, there was some people were trying to abuse the system. The tenants, they were saying, oh, no rent, we will start a movement not to pay rent. But you know, they have to understand, landlords are some of the smaller landlords, mom and pop shops. They still have to pay their mortgage. They have to pay their homeowners insurance, HOA, and property taxes. How are they going to pay if they're not collecting the rent? So, you know, it needs to be reasonable here.
Well, that's the thing that always disturbs me when the government comes in with a broad stroke and all of a sudden says, you know, oh, hey, we've got this problem and we're going to give relief over here. Well, what about the down the road effects or the effects of people like the landlords? Landlords, well, oh, but we gave forbearance for the landlord, right? So it just keeps flowing downhill. Well, okay, but what about the servicers? Because the servicers contract, they still have to pay the note to the note holder. So it's never
Right.
a real
It's
cure.
not, so forbearance is for mortgage, but you still have the three other components: property taxes, HOA, and homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
How is landlord going to pay that if he's not collecting rent? Second is, to your point, Kirk, how can government say on a private property, oh, you cannot evict someone? Basically, they are taking away right of the landlord to earn livelihood. There are a lot of landlords whose sole income is from rent, and government should not have any say in, how they cannot stop landlord from collecting rents. If they want to do something, they can open up more shelters and have people stay in those shelters. It's just crazy the way this came about. Yes,
Yeah.
landlords, everyone should pitch in, everyone should help. Maybe landlords can, hold it back for a couple of months. But beyond that, even landlords are in trouble for paying their share.
Well, and if you've got a tenant that's ultimately not going to pay you rent and they're going to make you chase them, you got to go to court. You got to get an attorney. When it's all said and done, you get a judgment, right? Because ultimately you would be successful. You'll get that judgment. Well, now you got to execute the judgment. It can be tough. And so I've been curious. It's a great question. I hadn't heard a whole lot about that topic. Ultimately, I think there's going to be a lot of fallout in months down the road. We're going to hear a lot more about it as far as how, the small mom and pop landlords who own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties and either supplement their livelihood or that is entirely their livelihood, how they were impacted by this. Because I think they're kind of left out in the cold. Forbearance helps them a little bit, but that's not a cure either because they still have to pay the mortgage. And like you said, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and the whole bit.
And Kirk, if the landlord
That's tough.
or anyone goes into forbearance, does it ruin their credit score?
It is not supposed to ruin their credit score while they're in forbearance, but all bets are off once forbearance ends if they are not able to bring that forbearance balance current within an acceptably negotiated term with the lender. Right? So
Right.
while you're in forbearance, you're good. Your mortgage is going to show current. All bets are off once that goes away.
Yeah, I mean, you can compare this to many of the businesses. Okay, so people are in trouble. People who have lost their jobs, they're furloughed, they're not making enough money. Is government forcing the supermarkets to give these people free food? No, they're not doing that. It's just not fair to just kind of, slap this upon landlords that for months and months they cannot evict them.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
Hey, can I throw something in there?
Oh,
It's
please,
Becky, by the
join
way.
in. Hi, Becky.
Now, we have an investor client who does the majority of his stuff as seller carrybacks when he buys. They are not subject to any forbearance. They do not get relief for that because it's not a federally backed loan.
Right. True.
So any of your people that have been buying that way are in a, talk about falling through the cracks. They're kind of left on their own island.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know those carrybacks are out there. I'm not sure what extent they're out there these days. I know they were a lot more prevalent kind of back in the pre-housing crisis days, but those guys are falling through the cracks too.
We don't see a whole lot of seller carries as a rule. It kind of comes in waves once in a while, but usually some of those are higher risk folks anyways that, and it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, you're right. They do fall through the cracks totally, 100%. they're not.
Has
protected.
has any one of you heard about landlords taking Dorsey, our governor, to court?
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah.
The landlord's
what was the
filing a
question?
lawsuit.
What was the question?
No, the some of Arizona taking on Dorsey for the moratorium. Taking in court. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard one landlord try to do that. I know gym owners did that. They grouped together, they did that, and eventually governor lost. So now he has to allow gyms to open up, of course, with certain mandates and only certain capacity. But I think the landlords need to form their own, some sort of group and see how they can work with the government. I'm not saying completely resist this. Yes, we need to help tenants also as much as we can, and hold back some rent and try to help work with them. But at the same time, government cannot just kind of single-handedly stop landlord for months and months from eviction. I think it's unfair. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think also with the eviction, mentioned about is on tenants having to prove on a hardship, they have to provide evidence. And I have done this. Because of the CARES Act, and if your mortgage is federally backed, federally insured, you can still give a notice of eviction.
If it is federally backed or it is not federally backed?
It is. If it is federally backed, then you have to give that CARES Act form. There's a 30-day notice to either pay up or you proceed with eviction.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because if it's a federally backed loan, the government does have more say in the ability for them to exercise the CARES Act moratorium, right? So they created that form to allow the landlord the opportunity to say, well, you got to prove it. You got to prove that you deserve the moratorium. Speaking of lawsuits against government, against Governor Ducey, Becky just posted in the chat, if you guys want to click on the link, there was an article, I guess from mid-August, that some folks have actually filed a lawsuit against the governor. So I don't know how they cannot win that, just like the gym owners. Ultimately, it appears government's been infringing on a lot of people's rights during the pandemic. And as long as people don't exercise those rights, then they're going to continue to be stepped on. But just like the gym owners, I don't see how landlords can win that and ultimately be able to foreclose on people who aren't paying them rent to stay in their properties. So does anybody else have any more questions on that topic? That's a good one.
Well, kind of just a way to piggyback on that really quick, and it's related, but it isn't. And I don't know if anyone saw the article in the AC Republic the other day about foreclosure and forbearance. So Kathleen Rieger wrote it. The article was more Phoenix homeowners aren't making mortgage payments. Foreclosure ban extended for many, which actually I think it was in the paper like the last week of August. But there's a neat little thing because I've been talking a lot about foreclosures and stuff coming up and what could be coming. And Tina Tambor at the end of the article, she's from Cromford Report. She's a senior analyst over at Cromford Report. She talks about the fact that she doesn't think they're going to soar at all. Homeowners won't walk away because they've got equity, all that kind of stuff. So, it kind of piggybacks on this a little bit, but, it's just one of those interesting things. I actually pulled the article out because I am one of those people that still gets the paper every day because I like my Dear Abby. So
you're one of the two.
One of the three.
I pulled this out and talked about this and actually put it in. I pulled it out and made it into a little thing that I could share with folks. I can't print it anywhere because I don't have permission to print it, but I would be more than happy to share it if you would like a copy of it, I can send it over to you.
Yeah, Shane, I would like that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more happy to send it over to you. It was an interesting little read there. Like I said, I think they talked about the requirement that lenders provide forbearance plans to borrowers with federally backed loans is set to expire on August 31st. So this is like a week ago or whatever. I don't know if that did get extended. I didn't hear anything about that particularly, but yeah, there's some really good information in here. So Raj, I'll be more than happy to send it over to you.
Great. Hey, are you guys hearing anything about inventory going? I joined 5 minutes late, so I don't know if you covered that. But is inventory rising, or is it still getting depleted?
Well, what I saw, Raj, and I just shared, I quickly shared Chandler, and I also threw up another stat sheet of a bunch of other cities, and not only in the valley, but also up in the White Mountains and some other places. But Chandler as a whole has come up a little bit, but it's pretty normal for this time of year anyway. I mean, inventory tends to come up a little bit when kids go back to school and everything. It tends to eke up, but it isn't like leaps and bounds. It's just a little bit, it's like, okay, we got 26 more units or something, So the interesting thing I shared with Chandler as a whole was the fact that median list price is planed off for 2 weeks in a row. I haven't seen that in forever. So it stayed exactly the same. And I'm like, well, maybe that says something, but I do expect a little leveling out here at some point, but maybe this
Awesome. Awesome. So I got one listing, yay. And
That's awesome.
I need some help with, small thing, flyer. Shane, does anyone in your office, the marketing department does that?
Yeah, that would be me. So
okay.
Yeah, let's chat about that.
Okay, after the call.
Let's chat about, we did have one question up here. Darcy had asked in chat about when a person applies for a loan, what impact will that make on their credit score? Kirk, you could probably shine some light on that.
Yeah, I saw that one. I wanted to make sure we circle back to that one. In general, when you get a hard pull on your credit, you'll see a couple points come off. 1, 2, maybe 3 points, depending on various factors. But the algorithms for your credit scoring, they understand certain particular forms of credit cards, homes, automobiles in particular. Those require for you to kind of get your pricing, if you will. They need to pull your credit, and they understand you might be shopping around a little bit. So if you get 1 or 2 pulls, that's fine. You start getting 3, 4, 5 pulls, the algorithm goes, oh, they're out shopping, they've got issues, and now you're going to really start to see a major hit on your credit score. But in general, nobody should ever be afraid to get their credit pulled by a lender. What they shouldn't do is let every lender pull their credit. If they're out shopping for a mortgage, talk to a few people first, get comfortable with 1 or 2 lenders that they're pretty confident that it's down to that 1 or 2 lenders that they're going to go with, then let them pull their credit. Don't let somebody pull your credit on the first phone call that you've never dealt with before. I see that way too often, is they call into some place, next thing you know, the guys roped them into letting them pull their credit. Don't let that happen, because they may end up not going with that person. Now they're getting additional pulls. But in general, just a couple points.
Kirk, I heard that once you apply for mortgage application, within 2 weeks, no matter how many lenders pull your credit score, it's still only a few points hit you take. I guess that's not true, right? There was just a misconception.
Say that again?
So what I heard is that when a borrower applies for mortgage, I mean, say within a span of 2 weeks, as many lenders can pull their credit score, and he would still take a small hit, like you say, a couple of points. I guess that's not true, right?
No, it's not kind of an unlimited free for all.
Okay.
Each individual hard pull is a unique hard pull. And if you've seen a credit report, which I assume all of us have, at least on ourselves, there's a whole section regarding inquiries. And as that section starts blowing up, you'll see the score proportionately go down. And in the mortgage industry, we pull what's called a tri-merge credit report. So we pull from all 3 bureaus. So every time we pull, that's actually shows us 3 hits. Now it's only 1 to each bureau, but it's 3 hits. So each bureau is getting hit. Each score with each bureau is getting hit.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah. There's Becky commented about folks monitoring their credit and being diligent about that. Yeah, I think more and more people are doing that. There are folks out there that actually lock their credit down, which is kind of a nuisance for me as a lender. When they come and apply for a loan, they forget to unlock their credit. And so all of a sudden I pull their credit and 2 of their 3 bureaus are frozen and I can't do anything until they unlock them. Typically it takes 24 hours. But yeah, I'm seeing more and more people, and everybody should. In this day and age of fraud and the ability of people to get our information by hacking into Target or wherever they're hacking into these days, I think everybody should be monitoring their credit. That way you get an alert if something changes on your bureau and you can go catch it right away. I still to this day see people who there's things from 7-10 years ago that they didn't know was on there. And it's like, how did you not know that this stuff was on your credit and it's affecting your ability to buy a home? 9 times out of 10, they knew it was there. They're just kind of negligent about their credit. And that's why their credit has issues. And hopefully we can educate them to be more diligent about maintaining their credit. So yeah, definitely worth its weight. Hey, time got away from us here. We've actually run way over, but I love the fact that we have some good questions and got some good participants.
For tenants like Alexander Nieves, tossing out the eviction ban would be a double.
That was an interesting snippet. It sounded related.
Yeah, I thought it was a baseball game at first. I'm like, hey, wait, who's on first?
yeah.
Cut to their jobless benefits. The good money vanished after February's Phoenix Open.
My hotel's really close to that, and it was so
Okay,
good.
that's not me.
7-year-old Alexander Nieves was furloughed from his bartending job.
Okay, there we go. Does anybody have any more questions? No?
Yeah, Becky, I'll make sure you get this stuff for the 16th. You might, I don't know if you're on our mailing list or not, but I'll make sure you get there. It should be a great event with Emma on the 16th. I'm looking forward to California Buyer one. That's going to be fun.
Is that going to be Zoom or is that in person?
That will be Zoom as well.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have Emma on next Friday and we'll talk about the event. Of course, it'll be the week after that, but should be awesome. I got a bunch of people signed up for it already. So everyone's curious about California Buyers and how to get in front of them. So this should help. Yeah,
Emma's great. I actually use her for some of my stuff. She's wonderful. She's just a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, we'll have her at next Friday's class or coffee session, share some tidbits, and then we'll have the class on the 16th. Everybody will get blasted on that. Love to see you guys there.
Yeah, we have the awesome Rick Whitstock from IPX 1031 Exchange on the 18th as well, and he'll be doing a CE class with us on the 24th. So we got a lot of stuff coming up in September. It's going to be a great month.
Yeah, Rick's 1031 class is awesome. So if you ever want to know anything about 1031, definitely mark that one on your calendar as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks, Shane. Awesome.
Thank you. Hey, appreciate all you guys. It was a great coffee session this morning. Have a great Labor Day. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Have fun.
Absolutely. We'll see everybody back next Friday. Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.